Today I'm going to be talking about Tears of Llorona, an extra Añejo Tequila that's aged in 3 unique barrels. This is going to be a fan favorite for those of you that love cast finish tequila. I'm going to be tasting Tears of Llorona for the first time on camera, and I'm going to be comparing my tasting notes with the tasting notes provided by the brand. I'm going to be checking the average retail price in my market and let you guys know if I think this product is worth the money. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Brian Donnelly. I'm an expert in distilled spirits with 9 years experience in the alcoholic beverage industry, and my goal is to educate consumers more about the alcoholic beverages they're enjoying so they can make better shopping and drinking decisions. Before I taste this product, I want to briefly touch on the tequila maker behind this brand, and I'm going to be referencing some information from the brand. Germán González Gorrotegui is one of the most celebrated working tequileros. He was born in Mexico City with strong spirits running through his veins. He is the son of a prominent tequilero, Guillermo González Díaz Lombardo, who created Chinaco, the first ultra-premium tequila imported into the United States. Fascinated by the family business and eager to follow in his father's footsteps, Germán chose to pursue a hands-on experience in tequila making at his family's distillery. Germán immersed himself in every element of the tequila making process, from working the agave fields to spending time in the laboratory, mastering the many intricacies of distillation. Today, Germán is considered to be one of the best living master tequileros by many aficionados and spirits experts. And you may be wondering, where does the name come from? So, in order to understand the name, you have to understand the myth behind La Llorona. The story of La Llorona, or the one who cries, is one of faith and faithlessness, passionate love, and shocking loss. While the tale's origin has been lost over time, and many versions exist across Central and South America, all feature a beautiful young woman scorned to madness by her unfaithful husband. Legend has it that she wanders Mexico's landscapes crying bitter tears of regret. It's a story Germán heard many times as a child, and it was Llorona's passionate tears that inspired Germán's greatest creation. Utilizing learning from his father, coupled with his passion and expertise, Germán created the very first bottle of tears for his personal enjoyment, and it was too good to not share. In 2012, Germán shared his special reserve with a close group of friends, a small batch artisanal expression boasting a rich and complex flavor profile. These friends encouraged Germán to release a limited supply for others' enjoyment. Germán named his creation Tears of Llorona after La Llorona, the legend told to him by his father, and began distributing to select U.S. markets in 2014. Today, spirit aficionados and critics recognize Tears of Llorona as a masterpiece and a true expression of Germán's genius. Alright, now that you understand the man behind the brand and the legend that inspired the name, let's talk about the production process. And again, I'm going to be still referencing some notes from the brand. So, requiring a careful combination of patience, care, and love, the process of creating Tears of Llorona starts with 100% pure Weber agave azul grown in the volcanic slopes of the Mexican highlands, where agave grows slowly and naturally to achieve a higher starch content. Germán personally inspects each plant before harvesting and then slow roasts the piñas in the traditional way before fermenting using a proprietary yeast. The fermented must, or mosto, is then distilled twice in traditional copper pot stills and aged in 3 distinct types of oak barrels. So that's former Scotch casks, former sherry casks, and former brandy casks, for 5 years, which is 2 years longer than most traditional extra añejos. I just want to briefly define must. So must, or when talking about tequila, mosto, process of once you have cooked and shredded the agave, and you have this kind of sugary, syrupy agave water, which usually still contains much or all the agave fibers, and it is this rich, sugary agave syrup water that you will then add yeast to, which is called inoculation. So you will then inoculate this must, and then you will convert that sugar into alcohol. Master distiller Germán slow cooks the agave for over 20 hours to achieve the greatest conversion of sugar possible without losing the flavor of the soil where the agave grew for at least 8 years. Aged for 5 years in 3 types of barrels, including Scotch, brandy, and sherry oak barrels, Tears of Llorona is then masterfully blended by Germán, delivering a layered tasting experience with a complexity of flavors. This slow, handcrafted process results in a very high proportion of angel share lost, which he refers to as the angel's tears, another reason for the name Tears of Llorona. All right, that was some good information from the brand, a little bit of backstory about the tequila producer, the man behind this brand, about the legend, and then about the production process, offering some good transparency on the production process, which you don't often get with tequila. So I want to show you guys this bottle because it's so cool. So unlike most super premium tequilas that are 750 milliliter bottles here in the United States or 700 milliliters in Europe, this is a 1 liter bottle. And look at this. Then it's got the kind of German beer pop top, which is really cool. And this glass feels really heavy. And the script and the topper, all this just kind of gives it this really rustic, old school feel. Just in case anyone is wondering, the CRT nom on this is 1146. Infinium Spirits, which is the parent company for Añejo Tequila out of the Mexican state of Guanajuato, they are the importer for this brand, so this is a partnership that Germán has with Infinium Spirits. And if you're not familiar with Añejo Tequila, it's a great tequila. Again, it comes from the Mexican state of Guanajuato. Most tequila is produced in Jalisco, although there are multiple states that are legally allowed to make tequila. But it's a really cool brand, and I definitely want to make a separate standalone video where I talk about Añejo Tequila and taste through all the different options from that brand because I'm a big fan. All right, I think it's time to finally taste it. As soon as I poured this into the glass, I can already smell it. So I'm really excited to try this. And again, I have the official tasting notes from the brand. So the aroma is described as caramel custard, dried fruit, and dark chocolate. Oh, wow. Oh, that smells so good. I would definitely say caramel custard, dried fruit, and dark chocolate. I think you could easily find all 3 of those flavors in this. This is a really incredible nose. You just smell this and you immediately want to drink it. So the taste is described as agave with a heady spiciness and complexity for experienced palates. All right, let's give it a try. Well, that's really good. That's really rich. At first, this is the first thing I've had to drink today. That little bump in proof from most tequilas bottled at 80 proof here in the United States, or 40% ABV, and this is 86 proof, or 43% ABV. And you feel just that slight little bump in alcohol with that first sip, but it feels really rich and luscious on the palate. And I'm getting a lot of complexity, but I'm going to revisit this on a second sip, but I can tell there's still more. I can tell on that second sip and maybe even that third sip that there's going to be a lot of extra flavor. This is big, this is bold, this is rich. It's really luscious, it coats your whole palate. And the flavors are still there. All right, let's try it again. Oh yeah. Definitely less boozy on that second sip. A lot more barrel flavors, really, really, really strong barrel flavors. I think it's this product is super barrel forward. It should be absolutely no surprise if it's been 5 years aging in Mexico in 3 different barrels, former Scotch, former brandy, former sherry. I mean, this is big and rich and complex. It's not, there's still some agave there. I think there's a little more agave on the nose than maybe on the palate. But I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, this is super tasty, but it's a very specific type of tequila, flavor profile. People, you may be wondering who's this product's for. If someone wants something that is more agave forward and more pure in its agave flavors with more of a minimum influence in the barrel, this is obviously not your product. The people that want something that is big and rich and barrel forward and luscious and super drinkable, you could easily drink this neat or on the rocks. This is going to very much compete in that same category of drinker of people who are drinking 15, 18, 21-year-old scotch, super premium bourbon, or even cognac. I mean, this really could hold up to that type of expectation, that type of drinker. So I'm going to take one. I saved enough to take one more sip. And in previous videos, I used to just take one sip and then switch it around, spit, and just kind of let it rip and just kind of talk through what I was tasting. But obviously, much like with a fine wine, each time you revisit it, different flavors become available in your palate. When you get to a product at this price point or this craftsmanship, you expect each sip, each time you revisit it, it tastes a little different. You're finding an additional flavor that you didn't know it was there. So to try this just once is really selling yourself short. So I saved a little bit left, and I'm going to taste it for a third time. See, even that third sip is a little different. So agave with a heady spiciness and complex for the experienced palates. That's the tasty notes from the supplier. I would definitely say heady spiciness, definitely complexity. I would say the more spirit products you have drank and the more kind of experienced palate you have, the more you will enjoy this, because you will be able to pick out different flavors and you'll be able to kind of recognize the complexity of this and really enjoy it and savor it. And again, the agave flavor in this is really minimized. I mean, this is highlighting the barrel first, agave second. And the finish is described as a warm scarf on a cold day. And so that is quite a description. So, I mean, this is super comforting. I mean, this feels very comforting, super drinkable, delicious. And, we'll get into pricing and if I think this product is worth it, but it's got a wonderful finish. I mean, I expect very much at this particular price point for it to have a long finish as a sign of complexity. A long finish, much like with wine, a long finish is a sign of complexity, and this is still hanging around on my palate. I mean, I can still chew it. I mean, the flavors are still very there, and the flavors are definitely still there. And they change a little bit. They change from sip 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to, the finish. And so this has been a very interesting experience, and I think it's really cool. I mean, not a lot of tequila is bottled above 80 proof, and so you have an 86 proof tequila, 43% ABV. I think that's really cool. Not a lot of tequila has an age statement this far above the legal standard. So, to have a 5-year age statement on extra Añejo Tequila, I think is really, really cool. And, certain agave purists are not going to like that, this product has been aged in multiple different types of former spirits barrels. So they're not going to like that it's so barrel forward, but other people are really going to like that. And I think the majority of people that can afford this product and that are going to be looking for this type of flavor profile, they want something that luscious and rich and big and bold. And I think this is definitely going to cater perfectly to them. So I think Germán, he created an incredibly delicious product, and I think he knew exactly what he was doing when he put together this blend and who he was looking to target. And I think this packaging is just so cool, and it just really kind of speaks to a vintage, old school, rustic, feel like you didn't buy this from a liquor store. You just bought it straight from the distillery when you were down visiting in whatever distillery in Mexico. I mean, that's what this feels like to me when I hold this bottle. So I definitely think this is going to be a big hit for the majority of people who drink this category of spirit. So now let's talk about pricing. Do I think this product is worth it? I live here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I'm going to be quoting average retail pricing in my market. Obviously, every single market is different. Check your local liquor store for pricing. So let me check my pricing. So this product is going to retail somewhere between $267 and $289. So I mean, we are getting to almost $300 for a bottle of extra Añejo Tequila. Do I think it's worth it? So again, I hate to ride the fence, but when you start getting into this price point, it becomes very subjective. Do you have $267 to $289 to spend on extra Añejo Tequila? If you do, this product will certainly deliver. I think the proof, the packaging, the different barrel finishings, the complexity, the luscious, big, bold flavor profile you get with this is delicious. I mean, this is a perfect dessert spirit. I mean, this product will definitely check the box for anyone that wants something that feels like a real treat. I mean, this tastes like a super premium sipping tequila. And again, you know, there's so many incredible options in the tequila category. If you cannot afford to spend almost $300 on a bottle of extra Añejo Tequila, do not worry. There are a ton of incredible options for both extra Añejo and Añejo tequilas. And so you can really find a lot of value from a lot of different brands, both big and small. And if you want something that is more agave forward, there's lots of options for you. Maybe I'll make a separate video about them. And if you want something that is big and rich just like this, but perhaps at a lower price point, there are those options too. So don't become discouraged if you're interested in this product but cannot afford it. And if you can afford this product, I definitely think it will deliver, and I think you will very much enjoy it. And as I recap this video, let's just touch on some of the selling points behind this product. So this product is verified additive free by Tequila Matchmaker. Now, I'm filming this in February of 2025. Tequila Matchmaker has had a lot of controversy around it, so take that with a grain of salt. But the brand is saying they're additive free, which is relevant for aged tequilas because a lot of brands will add caramel coloring so that their aged expressions have consistency batch to batch, and consistency is very important in the eyes of consumers from a visual standpoint, so they're saying additive free. The brand's not adding caramel coloring, so perhaps there might be a difference visually batch to batch on the color or darkness of the tequila. And remember, with tequila, much like with rum, darker does not always mean older or better. The brand says they use a proprietary yeast strain. They use natural volcanic spring water. It's aged 5 years in sherry, scotch, and brandy barrels. So 5-year age statement, aged in 3 types of former spirits barrels. And they're using hand-picked 8-year-old single estate Highland agave. So in that, they're telling you, I mean, to my knowledge, all agave is harvested by hand by jimadores. Unlike with wine, they haven't figured out mechanization for harvesting agave. So hand-picked, that, everyone hand-picks their agave, but to say that they're using 8-year-old agave, so they're using mature agaves that have had enough time to grow and develop the sugar levels, the Brix levels needed to generate a good tequila, to produce a good tequila. And then they're saying, this is sourced just from the Highlands. So they're, the Highlands is a anglicized term, which I've been told is borrowed from Scotch, but really that's the Los Altos region. So there's a lot of elevation in Jalisco, even in El Valle, which is called in the United States often, or referred to often in the United States as the lowlands. But you have El Valle, which is a lower elevation, and then you have Los Altos, which is a much higher elevation. But to call something the highlands and the lowlands is not quite accurate because there's so much elevation in the state of Jalisco. So, but to tell you, hey, within the Los Altos, like we're choosing a defined region and to source from a single estate, I think is really important. I mean, much like with wine, when you're harvesting from a much more defined area geographically, so not just Los Altos or what they're calling here the highlands, but a single estate, that means you really have a lot of quality control over the agave you're harvesting. So you have a lot of control on how mature that agave is and then where it's coming from. So I think this, if anything, speaks to the quality of the raw material sourcing. And again, tequila is made from just agave, yeast, water, and then for aged expressions, they're adding barrel. So in this case, this should be, in theory, a 4-ingredient tequila, you have agave, you have yeast, you have water, and then you have the influence from barrels. And in this case, it's 3 different barrels. So 4-ingredient product, I think that's a big selling point, and I really appreciate the transparency with this particular brand. I just want to remind everyone, earlier I was talking about value, is this worth it, bang for your buck? I'm all about value on this channel, and I want to highlight if I think things are, worth the costs that are being charged in retail. And don't forget, this is a 1 liter. So if you're on the fence, maybe you can afford it, maybe you can't. Do not forget that, the pricing I'm quoting, $267 to call it $889, that is for a 1 liter, not a 750 milliliter bottle, not a 700 milliliter bottle. So yes, it's expensive, but you're getting a really super premium product that I think, could be argued is worth the money. And don't forget, you're paying that price, but you're getting a full liter of 5-year-old age statement extra añejo tequila aged in 3 different barrels, bottled at 86 proof or 43% ABV. So I just want to remind everyone that when you're thinking about this product and comparing it with the pricing. And I'd have to double check if they're available in other markets, but this brand also used to make a small size, which I believe was a 375. Don't quote me on this. I don't think it's available anymore in my market, but it might be available in other markets, especially bigger markets. So you may be on the lookout for that. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a like and consider subscribing. If you'd like to be notified whenever I have new content on my website or this YouTube channel, please consider subscribing to my email newsletter. I'll leave a link below in the description. And if you'd like to support this channel further, please consider becoming a Patreon member or gift me a cocktail through the link below in the description. Thank you so much for your support. And as always, please drink responsibly. Cheers.